Nah, you can't. You can't even dream that one up. It's pretty special, but I was just glad to see the looks on my teammates' faces because that was a battle. It was a tough fought game, a lot of adversity, very physical, and to make the play and be the guy to come through is an amazing feeling, not only for my teammates but for the fans as well. Yeah, I was watching on the big screen. I was like, he's coming, somebody block. I'm like, please don't get caught. That's all I was thinking about.
With Lamar being out, obviously he's a great quarterback, but, a 50-60% Lamar Jackson, I just don't think he really was healthy enough to really go out there. I think, he kind of made that clear with the tweet he said. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of speculation with him not having a contract, this, that, and the third, but, I don't even know if I should say this, but he's like limping around the facility. That's kind of the crazy thing that people don't see, obviously. So, obviously, we knew he wasn't going to be able to be out there with us, but hopefully we sign him to a big-term deal, and he's a Raven with me forever.
Marlon Humphrey, significantly more diplomatic than J.K. Dobbins, and even for that matter, Sammy Watkins, when it comes to the absence of Lamar Jackson from the field, from the game, from the team, and the potential for his absence moving forward. We may have seen him play his last game as a Baltimore Raven, depending on how it plays out. Always present on Mondays, and we thank you for his time. Is one Charles Robinson, of course, from Yahoo Sports and the host of You Pod to Win the Game. Charles, you watch our show. You're not only do you contribute, make our show better every Monday, but you watch our show. Did you happen to catch last Friday's episode when we talked to Malcolm D. Lee, the writer, creator, and director of the Best Man franchise? If you didn't, that's okay. I know you're probably working the phones, but I'm just curious. Okay, because I'll make a reference to that. So, and I'm sure you've already seen The Best Man. You've seen me in episode 4. I'm sure you've already seen The Best Man final chapters. And we were talking about the breakup, the very nasty breakup between Robin and Harper, and the debate that's raging online. Well, who's the bad guy? Who's the villain? Is it Robin for taking Mia to Ghana? Is it Harper for the way he acted and treated Robin and put her in that position and wouldn't listen to her and tried to file for joint custody, yada, 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 right? And Malcolm was on, he was like, man, there is no villain here. There is no bad guy. I'll bring all that up, Charles, to say when I think about this Lamar Jackson situation with Baltimore, there is no villain here. There is no bad guy. Lamar Jackson is perfectly within his rights. He doesn't know anybody a damn thing. He over-explained on Thursday, but we appreciate the information. But he doesn't know anybody a damn explanation as to why somebody whose long-term future hangs in the balance wouldn't tape it up, rub some tussin in it, and go out there and play on an unstable knee and try to help your team win a playoff game when one of the reservations that the Ravens have about him is his playoff record. So you go out there and shit the bed and they use that against you, or you get hurt and now there's more conversation about your durability. Conversely, if the Ravens don't want to shell out a fully guaranteed contract just because the Browns decided to do that with Deshaun Watson, what they shit don't make us eat, said the Baltimore Ravens. I perfectly understand that as well. So I just wanted to get that take off, that it's like, I don't see anybody to point a finger at here. Right. This is a business situation. And if this is where it ends, so be it. So my question to you is this the end for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore?
Well, first and foremost, I'm glad you framed it the way that you did, because I literally wrote last week, like, we're in this situation right now because they both screwed this up. Like, they both have had moments where they created an environment to put each other at odds. The Ravens going out there and leaking what they put on the table. You really can't do that. The second you do that, all you're doing is poisoning the fan base to sit there and stare at money like they always do and go, well, geez, my job. Why wouldn't you take that? It just starts the same old, tropes that we always deal with when it comes to contracts. And then conversely, I think Lamar Jackson engaging with fans on social media, sparring with people, which clearly lets people know, like, this is a problem and it bothers me, but then not really addressing it. He's like addressing it in at times in a very passive aggressive way, right? And That upsets the Ravens. The Ravens, retaliate behind the scenes. There's just all this mess that they've kind of created. And then in between, look, Roquan Smith, he did his deal without an agent. You can definitely do your deal without an agent. But here's the thing that people always miss about agents. They become the bulletproof vest, right? If the team wants to go out and talk bad, what they do is they talk bad about the agent.
Talk to him,
right? Yeah, you know what? Just straight up. It's Eric Burkhart when the Cardinals were doing the deal with Kyler Murray, he became the bad guy. But that was his role. He was like, I'm willing to step out and be the bad guy.
What I thought you were going to say is not just the bad guy, but that filter, because the Ravens can't say to Lamar directly what they think about him or why they have reservations about him the way that they could to an agent.
So that's another component of this that has, I think, really screwed it up, that there isn't an agent in between to facilitate certain things, absorb certain body blows, and then leak to the media, hey, Lamar's limping around the facility. Okay, so then Lamar doesn't have to go out there and feel like, okay, I got to put my medical out here because I feel like the Ravens aren't doing it for me. And then it just creates more tension, all these problems. I call it the contract distortion field, because now every single thing that happens on both sides is always viewed through the prism of the contract not being done. They invited this when both sides, when they didn't get the deal done, both sides had to know, if we get into a situation where there's friction or an injury or there's a question about the playoff viability or whatever.
He had to Joe Flacco this thing. He had to Joe Flacco this thing for this to work out.
For it to be perfect, right. Absolutely, that is totally correct. Do I think it's the end? Here's what I will say about this. Let's not forget Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, it was really, really bad, okay?
It looked like he had one foot out the door. Yeah.
It looked like he was gone, okay? And there were other teams out there that thought this guy is gone. He's done. Denver was sitting there going, he's bouncing. Like Aaron Rodgers bouncing. We're going to get a shot at Aaron Rodgers. You know what solved it? Money. Money solved it. We can say whatever else we want about, they listened to Aaron or whatever. Go look at Aaron's contract. Go look at the fact he's on the line for $60+ million in 2023 if he wants it. Money solved it. Money can solve this for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. The question is, are the Ravens willing to say, okay, we think financially this is the right move, or are they staring at Kyler Murray? And I'm not comparing them, but are they staring at Kyler Murray and going, are we going to be a year into this and going, man, that might have been a mistake. Maybe we didn't want to do this.
Well, there's a solution here, but just like, and Michael, I'm sorry, I'll pass to you for your take on this. But well, go ahead, Michael. I'll come back. I'll come back. I got a solution, but I'll come back to it.
No. I want to stick with that thought. We're having a conversation here. It's no taking turns thing. So what's the solution? I want to hear it. What's the solution, Mike?
So just like as Charles has written and just articulated, like both have contributed to this standoff because of their dug in their positions. Likewise, it takes two to come to an agreement. That's the other thing. It's like, vilifying the player because he doesn't want to take the deal that the team offered. That's no more fair than vilifying the team because the player doesn't want to take the offer that they put on the table. Both people think that their positions are legitimate, right?
Right. Yep.
So here's a solution. It's actually quite easy, but again, Lamar, he sees Deshaun Watson in all those circumstances, to say nothing of the fact that Deshaun doesn't have the resume that Lamar does from an MVP standpoint, and says, I should get that. That should be the template. That should be a precursor. That should be the new normal, encouraged by the NFLPA to get this guaranteed contract. The Ravens are like, nah, we don't do business like that. So here's what you do. You have a mechanism, whatever that is, whether that's statistical thresholds, playoff performance, or I don't know, something like if you win the Super Bowl at any time during this contract, it triggers a full-on guarantee. So you've already bet on yourself once. They're not going to give him a fully guaranteed contract. If they're willing to guarantee it under certain circumstances, this deal could be done. But if he just wants a full-on guarantee straight up, that's not going to happen.
Here's the thing, though.
Can I say? Yeah, go ahead.
That's singing for his supper, okay? Like, that's the way he's going to look at it. He's going to sit there and go,
I get it.
Okay,
but they're not going to agree on a guarantee. My point, I'm trying to solve for something that they're not going to see. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I get that's not what he wants. He thinks he's already earned a fully guaranteed contract.
But you also have to recognize, too, He can create Deshaun Watson like leverage here. He can. People think he can't, but he can. All he has to do is just straight up say, I'm not playing for you anymore. I want to trade. That's it, period.
Yeah, he can do that.
Don't show up
He can definitely do that.
And straight up do what Deshaun did and said, you know what, I will sit out a year if I have to. And eventually what the Ravens are going to do is they're going to go, okay, let's line up the teams. Here's what he wants contractually. Who's willing to step up and pay it? Who's willing to trade the picks?
Okay.
That is the one thing about the Deshaun
Is somebody else willing to give him that deal? Is somebody else okay? Because remember, the Browns did the fully guaranteed deal because they were out of the sweepstakes and they had to do something drastic. Is another team then ready, willing, and able to give Lamar the fully guaranteed contract that the Ravens will not?
I would be, and I want to hear Michael Holley talk about this. I want to hear him on cross-exam.
No, I was just going to say that, Charles. I was just going to say, when Mike said he's got the solution, my other solution is, okay, you don't want to give me a guaranteed contract? I'll go to the market, and somebody in the market will give it to me. So, yes, I think somebody will give Lamar Jackson a guaranteed contract if Baltimore doesn't want to do it. That trigger, Mike, man. I think so. That trigger is a little complicated for a team that is trying to have some type of cap control. I think that might freak out a team more than a guaranteed contract will.
Now, here's the one thing I will say. I'm not saying they would do it, but all it takes is the right owner, the right level of desperation to get something like the Deshaun Watson deal done. There was a time when David Tepper and the Panthers offered 3 firsts and I think 3 thirds for Deshaun Watson before all the civil stuff started, right? So from an asset standpoint, David Tepper was looking at Deshaun Watson and saying, yeah, absolutely. Like, that's our guy. Let's go all in. That's the elite guy we need. Financially, David Tepper gave Matt Rule an astronomical $72 million contract, 6 years, $72 million, right? Unbelievable. Pissed off everybody across the NFL. How could you give an unproven college coach this kind of money? And he ultimately paid for it in the end. I know David Tepper wants to take a real swing at Sean Payton. I know David Tepper in the building has told people the number one priority here, let us meaningfully resolve the quarterback situation. No more half measures, all in, go get the quarterback, and we're done. I think Lamar Jackson is that kind of quarterback. You are done. When you make the push, you are done. The question now, to answer Michael Smith, would he be willing to pay that money? I think if his other options, and remember, you're only as faithful as your options, to quote Jalen Rose. You're only as good as what your options are.
If his other options are,
I'm sorry. You're right. My bad. I think I heard Jalen repeat it once though in a situation. I don't want to.
It's a classic line.
I'm sorry. I apologize to Chris Rock for that. I should have gotten my sourcing correct on that. Look, if David Tepper is sitting there and he says, what are my other options here? I got no other options. I don't have any other good options. Instead, what I have is a string of other options that look like all these other options we just ran through. Are we doing that again? Or are we going to go ahead and take door number one? Like, I just think if put in that situation, the right owner is the one that makes this decision. And I don't think the Haslams are the only owners to be that desperate.
What about tag? What about the game of tag, fellas? Is that possible? I mean, from the Ravens standpoint, could you say, hey, we couldn't come to a deal, we'll take the draft picks, we'll take a haul for him?
They're going to tag him?
Hell yeah, they're going to tag him. No. I'm talking about, of course they're going to tag him. They're not going to let him walk. Right. They're going to tag him if for no other reason than to trade him. I mean, the year-to-year tag. I mean,
he ain't showing. No.
Okay.
No way.
No, but
I don't think he shows
did Dak Prescott play under the tag?
1 year.
Or not? Yeah,
1 year.
So, I mean, there's precedent for Kirk Cousins went year to year. There's precedent for quarterbacks doing it, but this guy may not. To your point, he doesn't roll like that.
He doesn't roll like that. He doesn't roll like Dak. Yeah. He doesn't have an owner like Jerry. Like he does. It's a different situation. And remember, the one thing you got to remember about Lamar, every step of the way, he has done it his own way. And every step has been difficult. Right. There's been blowback. There's been, he doesn't want to do this in the draft, or he's in college, I'm playing quarterback and nothing else. I mean, he's done all these things his own way, and it's always worked out in the end. So far, the data has told him if you just stick with it, it's going to ultimately work out.
He stays the course. I guess I'm just like, that workout with them is to your point about I never thought Rodgers was going anywhere. Now, look, he hadn't put out a list yet. He or his mother haven't put out a list yet the way Russell Wilson did. But it's like we've all seen negotiations at their lowest point. This probably isn't even the lowest point yet. Where it's like you talked about earlier, Charles, it's like, oh, man, he's out. It's over. It's done. And then they come back and they all singing how much they love each other at a press conference. So I guess I'm holding out hope. I'm looking for solutions because I'm holding out hope that they could figure this out because they're still the perfect organization for him. He's the perfect quarterback for what they have. They clearly missed him yesterday. But, you know, they got management issues with Lamar and clock management issues.
Let me make a quick prediction. I'll make a quick prediction.
Okay,
here,
great.
Okay?
Yeah.
It gets resolved with the money, and the next words out of the mouth of the organization and Lamar, the media, man. It's the media. The media.
Right.
Man,
right. Because they ain't always with everything. Speaking of predictions. Oh, go ahead. Oh, Mike, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we're going to the same place. I don't know about your fantasy football league, Charles. I don't know if you have an injury report. But Michael Smith has a muscle strain and a muscle pull from patting himself on the back because he has claimed.
That's not where I was going.
He has claimed that Brock Purdy, he had Brock Purdy before everybody else, that he's the guy, and that he's seen enough and San Francisco needs to move on from Trey Lance because Brock Purdy is the quarterback of the future. What say you about Purdy, who had a nice little playoff debut against the Seahawks?
I have done everything to knock him. I mean, I've literally watched every second of every game he's played and been like, okay, waiting for the collapse and being like, you know, where's the doubt here? Look, I'm sorry, but you go back and you look at the Seattle game. If that's his bad game, and it kind of is to this point, I mean, really, where you're like, okay, he had some spates of, you know, being ineffective in this game. If this is his bad game, everybody's in trouble. And Trey Lance might be in trouble. Like, for real. This is the best team in football right now in terms of how they're playing. Defensively, they are cranked up. Offensively, you get Debo back, and now we remember, oh, yeah, that's right. That's why this dude is who he is. They're too deep at running back.
Not a quarterback.
There it is.
Not a quarterback.
There it is.
Not a quarterback, but that's another guy that was done. Just to add to the list of people who were
right. No, that's
never
right.
going to play for that organization
he's hurt again. Oh, he got, you know, they used him too much last year as a running back.
Right. Trade requests.
Remember early in the season too? Oh, George Kittle's hurt again. Like, oh man, like this is, look, I think that Brock Purdy, there is I don't want to bring Brady into it, but I mean, we see it with a lot of, you know, we've seen it with other quarterbacks.
Please bring Brady into it.
There is sometimes quarterbacks come in and there's something that you can't put a finger on that's not really measurable. And I think the way that you measure it is by watching all the players around the quarterback respond to the quarterback. That is what is happening around Brock Purdy that makes me believe this is different.
You're going there.
That this could be different.
So we never talked about was when we talked about we went round and round in circles on Lamar Jackson, but of course he put up his cryptic YouTube. Well, it's not even cryptic because we all know who he was referring to, unless he got something going on in his personal life, and he was subtweeting, you know, a significant other or whatever, or posting about a significant other. It's clearly that he's posting about his relationship with the Ravens.
Come on.
Put it up on the screen, please.
Does timing matter?
But I'm wondering, was this goodbye? Can we put it up on the screen, please, Gary? I don't know if this was a goodbye or not. I asked you if this was if it was over between Lamar and the Ravens, and we said that money could still talk. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about how things could kind of get to a low point, where it just looks like there's is exasperation the word when it comes to it. So he said when you have something good, and by the way, he reposted this. When you have something good, you don't play with it. You don't take chances losing it. You don't neglect it. When you have something good, you pour into it. You appreciate it. Because when you take care of something good, the good thing takes care of you too. So, okay, yeah, message to the Baltimore Ravens. Message received. I'm sure that they would say, but we do take care of you. We want to take care of you. We want you around. So this is, I guess I would say when it comes to that post, it takes, it's great fodder. It adds to the drama. It's a great for us to talk about on talk shows, but I don't know that it necessarily is the end-all, be-all to this situation, if that makes sense, because there is still some coming back from that comment. Like, if they end up, to your point earlier, Charles, if they end up writing the check that he wants with the terms that he wants, then they will have taken care of that good thing. and that will be water under the bridge, or over the dam, or wherever you like it.
And remember about this, posted hours after the Ravens lost, right, in the wild card, right? Posted after he hadn't posted anything except for his health status the previous Thursday. It wasn't like in the midst of the defense standing on its head against the Bengals, he was posting like, just anything about the team, like watching them being like, let's go, whatever. I mean, you see guys that don't travel with the team, they're back, for whatever injury situations. You see them on social media. This to me is quintessential kind of how Lamar has worked. Like he's been, he knows how to very calculated, use his accounts in a very calculated way to let people know. I would think this falls into it, and if it doesn't, I would just say it's the worst. I mean, come on, that'd be the most absurd timing ever, and it's just whoops. No, I don't. I think it's there for a reason.
Yeah. All right, so we'll leave Lamar there, but that story was obviously a big deal today. Didn't want to ignore that, but again, it's all part of it. It gets personal, it gets emotional. It's all part of it. I think the Ravens still would like to take care of him. Who's going to take care of this business when it comes to Sean Payton is the question now.
Good
so
question.
Apparently, and I know Michael thinks he's overrated. He thinks his sweepstakes is funny.
He is. That's all right. He is. That's all right.
But right now he's the belle of the ball right now.
And I'll say this, and before you answer, Charles, I'll just say this. We were quoting MLK earlier. I'll quote Maya Angelou in a different context when it comes to Sean Payton. And remember, she said the great quote, people won't remember what you said and what you did. They'll remember how you made them feel. With Sean Payton, that's what happens. Nobody remembers his record. Nobody remembers like the valleys that he's been in. It's just like, oh, he's just a coach. He's a genius. He's revolutionized the passing game. But I got so many stats. I got so much data that says, hold up now. Hold up.
I'm from New Orleans. Doesn't matter. I'm from New Orleans. I know about all the 79 seasons. I get it. I understand it. I understand it.
Three straight.
However,
who does that?
However, he would be an upgrade, and he would bring a measure of stability to just about any franchise with a head coaching vacancy. And listen, I like Brandon Staley a lot, Charles. I like him a lot. But after that collapse against Doug Peterson's, No, I'm saying a lot of people are looking at like, yo, is that another opportunity? I'm saying that's another option potentially for Sean Payton. What do you know, Charles, when it comes to who's going to end up with Sean Payton?
Okay, 15 seconds before I get to that. If you take Sean Payton's record and you put Mike McCarthy's record with the Packers and consider the two quarterbacks that they built their careers and records on, and they both had one Super Bowl win, it will show you the value of dipping out a year early on your own terms versus staying a year too long
to TV.
and then how teams treat you when it's time to come back in the league. Dallas hires Mike McCarthy, and it's like, what are they doing? Like a retread, like what is going on? Why are they Sean Payton? It's like everybody's tripping over themselves to go. And I like Sean too, by the way. I like Sean too, and I do think he brings a measure of stability to a franchise, especially if it's a turn the key situation. Now that said, the asset, he now has come out and he has said the asset for me is likely going to be a mid to late first round pick. Okay. I think if you asked me, what team has the ownership inclined to pay Sean, get him in there and figure out how to get the asset, I still think that's Denver. I think Denver wants to make a move in a big way. And so, but that said, is it necessarily the best job? Arizona, does ownership want to pay Sean Payton what he's ultimately worth? And does he want to roll his, the dice on Kyler, who can't seem to stay healthy during the course of the season, now is coming off a knee injury and has a massive contract and potentially
Houston?
No, I don't. Come on. It's they should. Houston's ownership should be forced to sell at this point.
Well, but that's why I brought up the Chargers, because again, I don't know that I would put the entire collapse at Brandon Staley's feet. It's not all on him, but Justin Herbert, LA. If you're Sean Payton, that's definitely a job he wants.
Absolutely. Listen, if you're talking about just sheer attractiveness, LA, the Chargers are the spot. But here's the question: Spanos going to pay $20 million a year to have? I mean, we know the history, right? Maybe yes, because they have $1 a year. They have $1 a year lease.
So you're telling us the same thing you told us about Lamar Jackson. It's David Tepper. It's Carolina.
Yeah.
Give up the pick, give up the money. Maybe it's Carolina again. All right, man. This was fun.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.